Shalom everyone, praise, honor and esteem to Abba Yahuah through his son Yahushua HaMashiach. In case you want to get in touch with us, here are our contact details. You can also support us in a variety of ways. And I hope you will find this video useful. Shalom everyone, in this video I will try to demonstrate that the Torah, the laws, instructions, commandments of Yahuah, our Elohim, are forever and for all people, not only a particular nation, race or skin color. I felt it was fitting to start with Yeshayahu or Isaiah 40:8. As it says, the grass withers, the flower fades, but the word of our Elohim shall stand forever. This stand forever means to rise in various applications, literal, figurative, intensive or causative. Abide, accomplish, confirm, continue, decree, endure, and follows establish, stand up, stir up, strengthen, succeed. And forever is, of course, Olam, page 5769, long duration, antiquity, forever, ever, everlasting, evermore, perpetual, old, ancient. And then we can say forever, always, continuous, perpetual, everlasting, indefinite, eternity. One could argue that forever doesn't mean forever, it just means a long time. But if we look at how the scriptures use this word, and excuse me, but this is Hungarian, so you need to trust me on this. In most of the time, Olam means forever, indefinite, ever. Out of 447, you can see here 90, 48, 76, and 98 times it means forever, infinite, perpetual. We must conclude, therefore, that his word stand forever. This word, at some point, was made flesh, as we can read in Yahuah 1st chapter 14, and dwelt among us. This is Yahushua HaMashiach, or Jesus, as most people know him, and we beheld his esteem, the esteem as of the only begotten of the Father, full of favor and truth. So Yahushua HaMashiach is this word. He was here as a human being, and now he is still this word, and he's always been this word. Yahuah carries on, my little children, these things I write to you so that you may not sin. You may not sin. You shouldn't sin. What is sin? Next chapter, whosoever commits sin transgresses also the law, the Torah, for sin is the transgression of the law. Whoever breaks the law commits sin, and this is after resurrection, and after Yahushua HaMashiach ascending to Shamayim or heaven. So we may not sin, we should not sin. We need to understand Torah in order for us not to sin, and if anyone sins, we have an advocate with the Father. So we need somebody to advocate for us with the Father, because it is his laws that abide all of us. Yahushua the Mashiach, the righteous, and he himself is the propitiation for our sins, and not for ours only, but also for the whole world, because everyone must follow the same Torah. Why else would people need someone for their sins unless they must abide the same Torah? Now by this we know that we know him if we keep his commandments, Yahushua HaMashiach, his commandments. Who says, I know him, and does not keep his commandments is a liar, and the truth is not in him. But whoever keeps his word, Yahushua HaMashiach, truly the love of Yahuwah is perfected in him. By this we know that we are in him. He who says he abides in him ought himself also to walk just as he walked. We must walk just as he walked, meaning we must do the same thing as he did. If he went to the feast, we must keep the feast. If he rested on the Shabbat, we must rest on the Shabbat. If he ate a certain way, if he dressed a certain way, we need to dress a certain way and eat the same way. This word walk, G40 and 43 peripateo, to tread all around, walk at large. But listen now, figuratively, to live, deport oneself, follow as a companion on votary. It's to live the way he lived. He's not talking about or writing about walking. He says, he who says he abides in him ought himself as to live just as he lived. How can I say that I live as he lived when I do different things, when I ignore some of what he did? And in 7, brethren, I write no new commandment to you, no new commandment to you, but an old commandment, which you have had from the beginning. We had this from the beginning. The old commandment is the word which you heard from the beginning. There is no new commandment. This is the old commandment. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. Vayikra or Leviticus 19 and 18. And love Yahuah your Elohim for all your heart, all your soul, all your might, and all your understanding. Deuteronomy 6, 4 and 5. A more detailed version of it, of course, the 10 Commandments. And a more detailed version of that is the Torah. And that is love. And Yehochanan, the one whom Yahusha loved, in his second letter writes as follows. And now I beseech thee, lady, this is the ecclesia, the called out ones, not as though I wrote a new commandment unto thee, but that which we had from the beginning, that we love one another. And this is love, that we walk after his commandments. This is the commandment, that as ye have heard from the beginning, ye should walk in it. Walk, peripateo, live that way. And this is the love, that we live after his commandments. This is the commandment, that as ye have heard from the beginning, that ye should live in it. In his first letter, 5th chapter, this is how Yehochanan puts it for us. By this we know that we love the children of Yahuah, that we love Yahuah and keep his commandments. This is talking about the Father and his Torah. That is love, keeping his commandments. For this is the love of Yahuah or Elohim, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous. This cannot talk about Jesus or the Mashiach. This is talking about the Father and his commandments, and he doesn't change. Malachi 3:6 says us perfectly, I, Yahuah, do not change. His commandments hence cannot change. And these are not grievous, contrary to what Christianity teaches, that his commandments no one can keep it, or this is a burden or a curse. He says the opposite of it. This is Yehochanan, the one Yahusha loved. His commandments are not grievous. Interestingly, this is the same thing we can read in Deuteronomy 30th chapter 11th verse. For this commandment, or this Torah, he means his Torah, the whole instructions, which I command thee this day, it is not hidden from thee, neither it is far off. It is not in heaven, that thou shouldest say, who shall go up for us to Shamaim or heaven, and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it. It is not far. No one should say, oh, it is up in heaven, or neither it is beyond the sea, that thou shouldest say, who shall go over the sea for us, and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it. But the word is very nigh unto thee, in thy mouth and in thy heart, that thou mayest do it. It is in all of us is heart. We just need to do it. And let me just highlight you one more thing. In that I command thee this day to love Yahuah thy Elohim. How do you love him? He says it, to walk in his ways, and to keep his commandments, and his statutes, and his judgments, that thou mayest live and multiply. This walk is H32:12, Yalak, to go, walk, or come, but figuratively, to live. It is a manner of life, the way of living. Do we remember what Yehochanan wrote in his first letter? He who says he abides in him ought himself also to walk just as he walked. And this is the same word in the Greek, peripateo, to live as he walked, or as he lived. Anywhere one opens this book, it says the same thing, because Yahuah or Elohim or God does not change. His Torah is the same, it was the same, and it will be the same. Everyone knows the story of the dry bones in the valley, when Ezekiel and Elohim have a discussion about dry bones and the Ruach coming into them bones, and they come to life, representing Israel. If one doesn't know, I think we should. understand that this prophecy has not yet been fulfilled. Now let me show you a few passages from the previous chapter 36. Still Hezekiel or Ezekiel. 24th verse says, "For I will take you from among the heathen, and gather you out of all countries, and will bring you into your own land." Who? It is Yahuah, not the United Nations, or Great Britain, or the United States, as it happened with Israel now. This is talking about a completely different people. "Then I will sprinkle clean water upon you, and ye shall be clean." This is a future prophecy that will happen to a particular people, that is Israel, the true Israelites. "From all your filthiness and from all your idols will I cleanse you." This has not happened. This could not have happened, as Israel, as we know it today, is the land of idols. I am sorry to say that, but Judaism, Christianity, and Islam all worship false gods. And for proof, one can only look at the way people live in that land today. Nonetheless, 26 reads, "A new heart also will I give you, and a new ruach, or spirit, will I put within you. And I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you a heart of flesh." This is what we all want. A new heart and his ruach within us. This is the promise for all who are willing to follow him. A new heart and a new ruach. And this is the message of the so-called New Covenant, or the Berit Chadashah. But the point is in 27, "And I will put my Ruach within you, and cause you to walk," or to live, Yalach, to walk in my statutes, "and ye shall keep my judgments, and do them." This new heart and this new Ruach will cause people to walk in his statutes and keep his judgments. Statute is chok, his ordinances, his decisions, and judgment is mishpat. It means just that, to judge, to make a decision based on his instructions, his Torah, between good and evil. These people will have a new heart, will have a new ruach within them, and they will walk in his Torah. He gives the exact same message in 11th chapter 17th verse when he says, "Therefore say, thus says the sovereign Yahuah." It says to Ezekiel, "Say to the people, I will even gather you from the people, and assemble you out of the countries where ye have been scattered, and I will give you the land of Israel." This cannot be after Babylon, because they still were not doing his Torah afterwards. They still didn't live, and they still didn't walk his ways after they went back from Babylon. In 18, "And they shall come thither, and they shall take away all the detestable things thereof, and all the abominations thereof from thence." This has not happened. Just look at the land now, and you understand. All the detestable and abominable things are there, of the whole world are there. But here's the conclusion of this matter. "And I will give them one heart, and I will put a new ruach within you." New heart, new ruach, "and I will take the stony heart out of their flesh, and I will give them a heart of flesh, that they may walk in my statutes, and keep my ordinances, and do them, and they shall be my people, and I will be their Elohim." Who is this people now? Who keep his commandments, who keep his Torah, and the people who live by that. They have the new heart, and they have the new ruach. And these are the ones that he will be gathering at the time when he decides to. But what I want to say is this. One heart, this is a new heart, a fleshly heart, and a new ruach. And that causes people to walk in his statutes, in his ordinances, his chok, his mishpat, his mitzvah, and his Torah. This is the result of having a new heart and born again by the ruach. Not part of it, not what Christianity teaches, that this and that, not, but all the rest of it, yes, but all of them. This is the difference between his people and the rest of the people. His people give their new life back to him, to Yahuah, to the Father, and live a righteous life according to his judgments and his ordinances and his instructions and his Torah. Nicodemus didn't understand this. That's why Yahushua answered him, "Verily, verily I say unto thee, except a man be born of water and of the Ruach, he cannot enter into the kingdom of Yahuah, or Elohim. That which is born of flesh is flesh, and that which is born of the Ruach is Ruach." Marvel not that I say unto thee, ye must be born again. The wind blows where it lists, and thou hearest the sound thereof, but canst not tell whence it comes, and whither it goes. So is every one that is born of the Ruach. Nicodemus still didn't get it, and answered and said to him, how can these things be? Just look at Yahushua's answer. Art thou a rabbi or master of Israel, and knowest not these things? Meaning he should have known this. He was a rabbi, a teacher. He should have known about these things, but he didn't understand. We just read in Ezekiel 11 and 36 what Yahushua was talking about. People should have born again back then, and should born again now by his Ruach, getting his new fleshly heart, and then walking his Torah, proving that they are his people. They have the new heart, and they have the new Ruach. Now let me just conclude with this, the passage everyone loves to keep repeating. Maybe now we understand this better. Behold, the days come, says Yahuah, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Yehudah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Mizraim or Egypt, which my covenant they break, although I was a husband unto them, says Yahuah. The problem was with his people. They break the covenant, not him. He will explain us what the new covenant will be. This shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel. After those days, says Yahuah, I will put my law, my Torah, in their inward parts, and Yahuah will write it in their hearts, and will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. He doesn't say these will be different laws, or there will be less laws. He says, my law, meaning the Torah, his Torah, Yahuah's word. The difference will be that this word will be in their new fleshly heart, and not on tables of stone. But this is the same word, it's just a different method. He chooses here to give this to us. There is absolutely no indication that this law has changed. Yes, sacrificial system and the temple and the priesthood changed, but the laws are the same. At least this is what he says. He doesn't say there's going to be less laws or this not or that not. All he says, new heart, new Ruach, and my law in their heart. On a side note, and I will finish, this new covenant has not started yet. We are in the betrothal period, engagement if you will. This is why he calls us brides and not wives. This is almost identical to a marriage, but it isn't a marriage. He'll come back, and on Mount Sinai, all will witness the marriage of the Lamb, and then the new covenant will start. At this point, we know the rules, and we are ought to walk as a bride, but we are not his wives. All the laws abide, but it is not a marriage yet. And we know this from verse 34, and they shall teach no more every man his neighbor. People still teaching each other, no? This is what Christianity is supposedly all about. Every man his brother, saying, Know Yahuah, for they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest of them, says Yahuah. For I will forgive their iniquity, he already done that, and I will remember their sin no more. He will remember everyone's sin who does not accept Yahushua HaMashiach's sacrifice. At this point, he forgave and doesn't remember the sin. But we still live. We must endure. And at the end, at the point of our death and the resurrection, he'll decide whether to remember or not, based on how we lived, whether we proved our faith in his son's sacrifice or not. So this is not the new covenant yet. I hope this has been helpful, and there are much more that could be said about his Torah and his word that shall stand forever, but for the sake of time, I will finish this here. Let me just add one more thing, and that is that in this video, I showed you my way of living and my viewpoint about this book we call the Bible, or these books. If someone does not agree, there should no hard feelings be, and there are none from my part. I think based on what we just read, this is crystal clear what Yeshayahu meant here, or what Yahuah meant through the prophet Yeshayahu. In chapter 40 verse 8, and let me repeat that, the grass withers, the flower fades, but the word of our Elohim shall stand forever. Should you want to get in touch with us, here's our contact details, and we are looking forward to hearing from you. In case you'd like to support us, that's much appreciated. Praise, honor, and esteem to Abba Yahuah through his son Yahushua HaMashiach. Shalom.